If you have ever had the misfortune of reading the educational posters on your history teacher's wall, you've probably already seen the quote by John F. Kennedy. Ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. The quote is wildly famous. With its bold and confident stance, it oozes with energy of national pride and the triumphant optimism that Kennedy's presidency was known for. However, once you ignore the warm and fuzzy feelings and the cultural impact of this quote, what is it actually trying to say? I mean, at face value, it is a rather strange and somewhat entitled statement and a reversal of popular opinion on what a government should do. The founding documents of America are shot through with the sentiment that the government should serve the people and protect them, not the other way around. So, what was Kennedy trying to get at when he made the speech? Before responding to this question, it's important to identify the context surrounding the speech. In the years preceding, America was knee-deep in the Cold War. The world was divided between democratic and communist nations. This is important to Kennedy's speech because he sought to assert American leadership and ideals not just in the United States, but on the world stage. Consequently, the Ask Not line was a part of a broader moral and civic call to action. For Kennedy, in times of uncertainty, it is every citizen's duty to support the country through their service. So, with this context in mind, we have the first answer to our question. Kennedy was urging Americans to embrace public service, sacrifice, and national unity. For Kennedy, it was crucial to foster a sense of shared responsibility for tackling global challenges, just as vital as broader topics to American ideals such as freedom and democracy. Another piece of evidence that is important to consider is that at the time of this speech, Kennedy was the youngest president in all of American history. The man was 43 years old, which, compared to the median age of presidents, 55, was incredibly young. Kennedy's youthfulness reflected the nation's need for optimism during awful tensions such as the Cold War and Cuban Missile Crisis. This fact was not lost on Kennedy, as he famously states, "The torch has passed to a new generation of Americans, born in this country, tempered by war, disciplined by hard, bitter peace." Kennedy wants to emphasize that it is time to move past from an era of war and destruction and into a new era of peace, cooperation, and longevity. Now that I've covered the underlying reasoning and content of the speech, I turn to asking, how was this content reflected in his presidency? Kennedy was quite successful in translating these ideas into workable political achievements. For instance, he started with the Peace Corps, which sent young Americans abroad to promote peace in less developed nations. Though somewhat cautious early on, Kennedy would also later support civil rights, famously calling it a moral issue. His commitment to world peace was also front and center in his foreign policy. He took a measured but ultimately firm stance against the Soviets, evident from his de-escalation of the Cuban Missile Crisis, as well as various other agreements and discussions which aimed to calm tensions rather than allowing them to fester. So, to answer the question that we set out to answer at the beginning of this video, the purpose of John F. Kennedy's Ask Not speech was to convey messages of newfound optimism, better foreign policy, and creating a better world and nation through service.